Everybody here gets an A because you're on time. In movies, there's something called movie time. If you show up on time, you're late. You have to get to the set. You have to do this shit 10 to 15 minutes early. And for productions like mine, it's okay to show up on time. If you want to get a job on a legit production, get paid. If you show up on time, you're late. You won't hold the job. You got to show up 15 minutes early. It's film time. All right, we're starting.
All right, that's the first lesson, which is news to me because I'm always late. I'm Nicole. I'm with the UCLA Film and Television Archive. We're, so lucky to have the premiere of Jon's film tonight. So we've already trapped you in Westwood. Please come down the hill afterwards and watch the movie. I'm gonna just give a very brief intro. We're at the library. Bathrooms are down the hall to the right. There's some more on the other side, and there's some downstairs. So if you have any questions, there's a bunch of UCLA library staff. If you want to raise our hands, you can ask any of us questions about library locations. We might know the answer. This workshop's 3 hours. There'll be a break in the middle-ish.
Yeah, like a 10 or 15-minute break. I'll have a couple of mini assignments for you to do during the break. For real.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like school.
I think most cafes on campus are closed. Maybe Laval Commons is open, but there's also some snacks here, courtesy of the Punk Collective, which we're going to introduce next. They were a huge help in all this. They have a table in the back. They're also going to be at the screening. They're part of the library special collections. And to say a bit more, Ali, Yasmin, and Riyad.
Hi, I'm Ali De Silva. I'm an audiovisual archivist in the Preservation and Conservation Lab at the UCLA Library. These are my colleagues Yasmin and Brianna. We all work in AV preservation. And we are all also a part of the UCLA Punk Collective, which gathers together to help manage the UCLA Punk Archive. And we are a group of archivists, librarians, students, filmmakers, musicians. Really anyone is a part of the collective, and the collective is open to community members as well as UCLA library staff and students and faculty. And we started in 2013, the UCLA Punk Archive. And the way that it's worked most of its existence is just like the people in the collective are from the community, and so it was about supporting our friends and our communities, and a lot of the collections came in because people knew them, or people knew okay, they want to donate their collection, or this collection needs to go somewhere safe, and that's kind of been the core principle of the collective. And now we're kind of been steering towards more outreach and events, post-custodial work, so really keeping those relationships that we have with donors and the communities strong, and then being able to provide access to researchers, so digitizing all of the cassette tapes with live recordings and interviews, and making those accessible to researchers. Amateur films, 8mm, Super 8, 16mm films, punk movies, and all of the zines, magazines, flyers, photographs, ephemera, pins, whatever, making sure that that's accessible for people. So thank you everybody for coming, and thank you Jon for this workshop, and Nicole for coordinating everything. And also the table in the back, everything is free, so please grab a pin or a zine or a flip-side calendar.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, yeah. Punk Rock Archive. This would not happen without them. This wouldn't happen without me. It wouldn't happen without UCLA. Paul back there has been instrumental in making all of this happen, including the screening, and it would be nothing without you. So, collaboration, we got it. All right. 3 hours filmmaking. This is really going to be opinionated, and you can agree and you can disagree. I really don't care. I'm going to just speak from my honest experiences, and my goal is to sort of go over every single stupid mistake I've made in filmmaking, and if you absorb this, write them down, listen, you might save 20 years of your filmmaking careers in not making these mistakes, because I've made so many, I've fucked up so much shit, and learned and maybe not learned from this stuff. As far as teaching, I've taught in all kinds of like legit schools as a film professor, as like tenure track at SF State, film department, Berkeley. I've done pop-ups in all kinds of cities, and I love college education. It's really cool. I think the best college I've ever taught at was a community college where you pay $100 and get access to equipment and make a movie for $100. Full semester's worth of shit. So if any of you are wondering, move to Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's the best school, Santa Fe Community College, and cost of living is really low in the desert, so you can work a part-time job, take the community college class, pay $100 and make your feature movie in 5 months or 4 months. There's so many ways to work it. I don't teach anymore because I don't want to get locked into that type of thing, and I'm burnt out on it. And I've just decided to compress everything I've taught into 3 hours. I used to do like a 8-hour class. I did a weekend 2-day class. I've done 6-week classes, 15-week classes, and there's a lot of filler. So let's get to it. This is going to be three hours of fun shit. All right. So I think when you're starting a movie, the hardest thing, it seems like to me, is people just coming up with ideas. Like, what do I make a movie about? What's valid? It's a big fucked up world out there. What can I do to change it? What can I say? Do I have any voice? And it's really easy to overthink this shit. One thing I'm going to keep telling you is this thing called a brain. It's good for certain things like, knowing how to do stuff like that. However, it's really good at caging and fucking up your heart and your soul. So you might have a dream of making a movie, burning dream, passion, desire, and this thing will fucking shut you down. It'll tell you every reason why you can't make it. It'll tell you don't have enough money or talent and you suck. So part of being a filmmaker and an artist, I think, is respecting this thing because it's really powerful. It controls you. It's also your enemy. So just that's one of the lessons I've learned is this shit fucks you up and will, I guarantee, keep you from making your movie overthinking. All right, so what do you make a movie about? I'm going to tell you, everybody has a story. Everybody has a story that comes from today, from problems today, good things happening. And so we've got this little quote in your reader. A writer, and I believe generally all persons, must think that whatever happens to them is a resource. All things have been given to us for a purpose, and an artist must feel this more intensely. All that happens to us, including our humiliations, our misfortunes, our embarrassments, all is given to us as raw material, as clay, so that we may shape our art. So basically I'm saying if you're alive, you're living life, you're on this earth, you got tons of stories. And your brain is going to say these stories aren't valid. It's a story the world has heard. It's mundane, it's stupid, it's bullshit. I'm full of shit, I'm fucked up, I'm a reject. I'm not going to tell this story. Tell your brain to shut the fuck up and realize that there's drama in everything. There's drama in driving here today, finding parking, and these are the little moments that I think great filmmaking comes out of. My filmmaking rarely comes out of me wanting to make a big point, like I'm going to make a movie that's going to discuss sexism in the workplace. But no, I generally start out with just tiny little things that just matter to me. I try not to outguess an audience or figure out what the world wants to hear or see, because whenever I've done that, I fuck up my heart, my vision, my purity. So think about what just matters to you, and it can be something as silly and mundane as like, I hate people who have cigarettes in their mouths in this non-smoking area. Okay, that's very valid, and it's triggering you, so that's something that's important to you. I found one of the best ways of creating a story, a movie, is to start with the ultra mundane. And I'm really inspired by music. Music has been my biggest influence, more than other movies, literature. Music really inspires me, and if I hear a song I like, ideas pop into my head, and that's one of my first things I do is, let's say I'm sitting here saying, wow, I want to make a new movie. I don't know what to make a movie about. What I'll do is, what's my favorite song right now? And I'll think about it, and I'll jot it down, and I'll say, hey, I've started my movie. I've got a song, Song captures a mood, maybe a time in my life. It vibrates with me. It makes me feel something. It's intense. That's the start to a movie. And another thing might be, wow, it's sort of weird how we have fluorescent lighting and sort of hits this DVD case and it reflects. And then I have this thing here, a cell phone, and this doesn't reflect. And that's sort of a weird lighting scheme where you have some stuff that's brilliant and reflective, other stuff isn't. Well, that's a cool idea. Write it down. Just a lighting scheme. That's another idea. You overhear something in line, a weird conversation, little dialogue that sticks out. You write that down, and I swear, if you gather like 10 of these, and you can easily gather 10 details. I try to gather details that move me for the good and for the bad. So shit I hate, I'll write down. Or shit I really love, I'll write down. Songs I hate, I'll write down. They're triggering me. They're making me feel something. And at the end of the day, you're going to have this list of stuff. And you're going to say, well, that's not a movie. I'm going to say, bullshit, that fucking shit is a movie. And that's the way, how many of you know about that filmmaker, Jim Jarmusch? Yeah, Stranger Than Paradise. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's one of my favorite movies. Punk rock, low-budget filmmaking. It's gorgeous. It's meaningful, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Jarmusch, he writes the same way. Someone said, how do you put together your movies? And he said, I go backwards. I don't grab a big idea and a big story and a beginning, middle, end. I just look for these minuscule details in life. And they're like little beads, little pearls. And it's what I'm talking about. I like the song. I hate the cigarette. I like this. I don't like that. You have these little moments that are beads, and you string them together. I promise you, you're going to have a movie. That's what he did. I mean, Stranger Than Paradise, one of his ideas was he just was like, he woke up one morning, was smoking a cigarette in New York, sun was out, and just the look of the smoke and the sun blasting through it, he was like, that's one of my ideas, I'm going to write it down. I have a song I like, another idea, and this stuff appeared in the movie, and he just strung these ideas together to create a story, to create his movie. So that's how I work. I work backwards. I start with the little details, and I found that these details sort of land in the right places because where I am in life, what I'm feeling, that generally becomes the theme of the movie. So if I'm fucked up and depressed, I'll make a movie discussing that stuff, and these details will be like little signposts, little beads, go from one to the next and the next. And one thing about filmmaking that I think a lot of people worry about is a story. And Hollywood will tell you this. They're going to say, you know, story, you need a movie with a beginning, a middle, and an end. There's so much respect given to screenwriters and writers and all this shit, you know, great screenplays. And I agree, there's great writing. However, I don't feel we have to get hung up on the story idea. I don't even like the idea of a story. I just like the idea of something called a narrative. And how are they different? A narrative is just basically a journey. And it doesn't have to have a beginning, middle, or an end. It's just a freaking journey. And there are a lot of weird things that can be narratives, like let's say we're driving from here to Pasadena, punch it into a car computer, and the computer will give us a list of what to do to get to Pasadena. That's a narrative. I mean, if you grab a recipe and you're cooking, a recipe is a narrative. It tells you, it's a journey from raw materials to hopefully something you make that tastes good. That's a narrative. And no one would say, wow, directions in a car, that's not a story. Recipe is not a story. They are narratives, though, and they could make movies. So I don't push the idea of story. I just push the idea of narrative. And narrative, once again, is a journey from beginning to the end. And the end might not be an ending. And so you have a narrative. And for my narrative, I arrange my little details, like the cigarette, the song I like. And I arrange them as scenes, and then I find that if they're linked together, we have a narrative, and we have a movie. It's really a weird way to work. It's how I have to work, because if I start thinking story, my brain engages, and as we know about the brain, it'll shut down everything else and keep circulating story ideas up here forever and I won't make a movie. So I try to start with details. And there's a really crummy TV show that came out a long time ago. How many of you have seen the movie, the TV show MacGyver? Yeah. So this show was around 7 seasons, 139 episodes, hit show in America, I think in the 80s, MacGyver. And MacGyver was basically this like detective, blonde, good-looking scientist, detective, macho dude. And his whole thing was he didn't like guns. And he was always called to like save the world or get the bad guys or whatever. And he always improvised and always somehow came up, saved the world using like rubber bands and paper clips and putting things together. And I guess I Googled this. I guess the word MacGyver is when you like throw shit together to come up with a solution. Like I MacGyvered this car. I got through some parts and I MacGyvered it. I, fixed it up in a weird way. And so this show was a hit. And I was friends with the creator of the show in New Mexico, this guy named Lee. So I was hanging out with Lee one night, and I wanted to get his insight on how he created a hit TV show for 139 episodes and raked it in. So I was like, Lee, how did you write 139 episodes of this show? And, it was a big-time Hollywood show, so he had like a writer's room, a stable of writers, like a dozen writers in a room who were just cranking out 139 episodes. And I just was like, how did you sustain the show? It's crazy. How'd you do it? And he looked at me, and so he said that the first meeting he went into when the show was starting, the writers all came in with stories. They're like, okay, MacGyver's going to do this, that, Russia's going to come in, they're going to try to bomb us, and then we're going to yeah, USA, yeah, that's our story. And he rejected every story that was pitched, and this is what he told his writers. I swear, this is his words. He said, yo, writers, there's lots of cool shit in the world. And he said, I'm going to pretend I have a basket of cool shit here. So what you're going to do is you're going to go home tonight and figure out what you're going to put in your basket of cool shit. Come in tomorrow's meeting, and each of you is going to have a basket with 10 items in it. And again, it's like those items like what I just mentioned, the cigarette, Jim Jarmusch's, like the way the light looks going through the smoke. It was just tiny ideas, and that's what he said. He said, come in here with songs you like, with weird tools you find in the garage, with a weird dream you had, with a weird word you like. And he said, put all this crap into a basket and come in tomorrow with these ideas. So next writers' meeting, everyone came in and everyone had 10 ideas. Like someone was like, cigarette, pen, water. I like this Madonna song, that's 4 ideas there. And that's what everyone did. They tossed their ideas out. And then he said, all right, they wrote all the ideas down. He said, all right, we have all these great ideas. Let's just arrange them. And like the Jarmusch way, let's throw this shit together and come up with a story based on these ideas. Let's not come up with a story first. Let's start with the stupid little details, throw them together, and come up with a story from the details. And seriously, that's how he created a hit TV show that, 7 seasons. He started backwards. He started with basket full of cool shit. So that's what I'm going to suggest. You might have a different way of writing. This is how I have to write. I come up with a basket of cool shit, arrange it, do a narrative thing. I have right here, this is more of the traditional Hollywood standard way of creating a story, and it makes sense. Basically, it's a graph, and I'm just going to call it unhappiness and happiness for simplicity. So we start here, the general Hollywood movie, mainstream movie. You start out with people fucked up and unhappy, have a struggle, hit a high point, then they have a crash, and then the movie ends, and they're sort of happy, not totally happy, sort of happy because they've realized some truths through this journey, and the movie ends. There's other trajectory. This is called a trajectory of the movie. There's other things where you start out really high, you're top of the world, and the movie is about your downfall. That's another trajectory of a movie, another standard story. There's another one where you start at the top, you have a downfall, then as the underdog, you rise up again and you end up happy again. I mean, these are all, you can just look this stuff up. They're standard, traditional trajectories for movies, and I swear to you, a lot of Hollywood studios, they will not even read your writing if you don't follow this rule. They want to see this bullshit. So I'm saying, fuck that shit. There's so many ways to tell a story. Don't get psyched out by people telling you a certain way to write. There's 3-act story structures, 5-act. Someone came up with 7-act. I think it's all bullshit, and it's just people just trying to control you and, you know, just pretend to be smart or something. There's so many stories. It's like saying poetry has to be in a certain form, or a song has to be verse, chorus, verse. It's a free-for-all. And so my one tip for any of you who, you know, you're writing, and especially if you're experienced or you're new to this experience, there are going to be a lot of writing experts telling you how to do it, especially if you take these little classes like how to write a magical screenplay in 3 weeks, and we're going to give you the rules. That's fine to take. You might learn the rules, but be prepared to break them too. I think with writing there are no rules, and especially these days, there's so many movies that are defying these rules, where we have completely chaotic trajectories, or things where movies start where the first scene is the last moment of the movie, and the whole thing becomes a flashback, and we see through the movie how we got to the beginning. There's so many ingenious, inventive ways of putting together movies. And there are also people who make movies with no storyline, with no narrative, with no flow. I mean, there's a whole world of experimental filmmaking too, art filmmaking, whatever you want to call it. So really, just like anything in life, filmmaking has so many rules, and it's good to know them. Good to know, you know, you can get really good things from these rules, and it's good to just say, fuck them, and throw them away. I spent a lot of time trying to learn screenplays and the standard way to write, and I finally just said, this is bullshit, man. It's like using proper grammar all the time. I want to throw in some fucks and shits and say it was. All right, so that to me is part of like writing. As far as writing, it's hard to get the discipline to write. Coppola, you know, I haven't seen his new movie. I'm really curious. I don't know if I'm going to see it. He said the most cool thing. Someone asked him, like, how do you write? How do you connect? Do you do it every day? And he got mystical. He said, I'm connecting with the muse when I write. And the muse is maybe the universe, maybe God. I don't know what it is. Maybe just a moment of silence. You're connecting with silence. You can feel things. And he said, for the muse to affect me, I've got to write at the same spot, at the same time, every day, because then the muse can find me. The muse will know that I'm going to be at 5 o'clock sitting at this desk, and the muse will find me. And I thought that was hocus pocus bullshit, and I've tried it. It works. Especially if you haven't written for a while, it's hard to get back into writing. And so I found the best way is to be really systematic and rigorous and disciplined about it. Whenever I start writing, I haven't written for a while, I want to connect with the muse. I don't think the writing comes from me. And here's my personal theory. For a long time, I was like, I'm the genius writer. I'm coming up with this shit. I'm writing. It's all me. And I'm the opposite now. I really don't feel these movies are really me. I feel shit is flowing through me. It's like Keith Richards, you know, guitarist, Rolling Stones, wrote some amazing songs, came up with riffs. And one of their biggest songs, I think it was Satisfaction. Someone was like, Keith, man, you wrote the most amazing guitar riff. You're brilliant. What a musician. And he just said, I didn't write it, man. It came through me. That wasn't me. I don't take credit. God did it. And so that's what I'm saying. I don't know what your beliefs are, but it just doesn't matter. I mean, this is my personal take. And so I write every day, same time, same place. The muse finds me. And I find that after I'm writing for a couple weeks, I'm connected to the muse. And at that point, I can write anywhere, anytime, under any conditions. So that's how I write. Feng shui is really important in writing. If you're writing and you're finding that you have writer's block, it could be something as simple as where you're writing, when you're writing. A lot of writers are at a desk facing a wall. I think that's the worst way to write. In feng shui, which is the art of arranging things in your life, your house, and your environment so that you have a better flow. They're like, if you're writing facing a wall, you're going to hit dead ends and you will never write anything good. You want to write with an expansive view. I believe in this. I was writing for a while facing a wall, and it was terrible crap I was writing. And I turned my desk around, faced out, looked out on the room, little window view, and the writing miraculously immediately got better. So other factors, if you're writing, you have roommates and everyone's noisy, you can't write, problem. You have to get out of that house. If you're wasted all the time and writing while you're totally fucked up and you can't write, maybe you have to go sober and write. Maybe if you're just too sober, you have to get wasted and write. I'm serious. I've done all of this shit. And I think you have to just really be aware that writing is more than just sitting down using your brain, and it's spacious. It's connected to shit. I have a friend, and she could only write on airplanes. And she would, no, it was really cool. And by the way, if any of you have questions, feel free to raise your hand, because it's like dialogue we got. Yeah?
What time do you write?
At this time, since I'm connected to the muse, I can write anywhere, anytime, like with a pen, with a marker, on my phone, at a typewriter. When I started out, I was a night owl, so I'd do my best writing from midnight to 4 a.m. Then it changed a couple years ago to really early mornings, like 4 a.m. And now I don't have a sleep schedule, so everything is fucked up in my life. So I just write whenever I do, and I really feel connected to the muse. So I can make myself write. I can actually say, shit, I've got to write something good right now, and I can. It's really neat. I just finished my first book. I'm going to start a second book. So yeah, I really got into writing doing that. Yeah, so this friend of mine, she could only write on airplanes, and she was in big business, so she traveled a lot, and she was like, I've got to finish the script, and it would be expensive to fly around to finish my writing. And she lived in San Francisco in the Bay Area, so it hit her, wow, there's a thing called BART trains, and it's feels a little bit like an airplane on BART, and you can circle the whole route like a 5-hour circuit. So what she would do is hop on BART and write, because it felt like an airplane. Brilliant. Another woman I know, she tried to write at home, and she would just end up in her pajamas the whole day not writing. She came from a business, high executive type of business type of background. She was like, wow, I can't write at home, this sucks. So what she would do every morning is wake up like at 7 a.m., business hours, or 6 a.m., get dressed for work, walk out her front door, walk around her block, get back home, open the door, walk back in and say, wow, I'm in my writing suite, time to write. And then she could write, and then at the end of the day, she would lock up her house, walk around the block the other direction, get back to her freaking house and go in and say, wow, I'm home now, I don't have to write. I swear, whatever you have to do to write, it's all valid. And I mean, this is fun, weird stuff. Have fun with it. That's the other thing. Have fun with your filmmaking. I think it's going to make your life better, and it'll make the movie better. I've made films while struggling and embracing the struggle and the negativity and the bullshit, and it wasn't fun, and the movies weren't so good in the early days. So I think you having fun, because life is short, is really crucial. All right, here's the other thing I have about writing is don't spend any money writing. Don't get that fancy software that's going to help you write. Don't sit there saying, well, my computer sort of sucks, the keyboard is sort of wonky, so I'm going to spend $2,000 on a new computer, and then I'll write, and I'll be a good writer. Just don't spend any money writing. It's one of the biggest rules of low-budget filmmaking. I think all filmmaking is you've got to put your money on the screen, i.e., every dollar you spend has to be spent on something the audience can appreciate. So if you're writing on your $3,000 computer, the audience doesn't know that, and they can't see that computer, and they don't give a fuck about it. So don't spend the money on the computer, because it's not money on the screen. One of the biggest rules of filmmaking. So if you have $1,000 to make your movie, you want that $1,000 going towards shit the audience can see that's going to be in your frame. Very crucial. Don't spend any money on writing. And there's in your little reader, last page, is some crucial information. Second one down, it's Celtics. It's free online script writing and formatting. This is what I use. It's free. You can pay extra, and if you pay extra, they allow you to like link up with other writers and send stuff and blah, blah, blah. No, I don't pay money because, again, it's money that's not going to go on the screen. So I do the free Celtics and basically do all my writing. And it's a really great way to work because it saves your script and it formats it. Formatting movies is pretty interesting and weird. This thing will do it. Just check it out. This is what I use. It's really great. All right, so as far as movie formats, the script writing formats, page 2, I love the way movie scripts read and look. I think movie scripts are the best way to write anything. Like, I want to write a novel that's like in movie script form. And you're like, why do you want to do that? I like movie script format because it's really easy to read and see what's going on and what's being said. I mean, sometimes you have a fictional book and you're going through a chunk of a bunch of paragraphs and people are talking, and it's sort of hard to keep track of what's going on sometimes with characters and stuff like that. It can get confusing. Movie script, especially the correct format, will like break it down and make it easy. So I'm not going to go over this stuff, it's all here, but basically, if you look at this, we have like big chunks that go to the edges right here, right? And when you go further down, you have other chunks that don't go to the edges. The big chunks that go to the edges are descriptions of shit in the movie. Places, things, trees, cars, smells, stuff around. The indented stuff is dialogue of the actors. And that's the beauty of the script format, is you grab a script and you immediately know the dialogue. You know who's saying what. It's really cool. You know what the details are. And it's a really good way of presenting your ideas and your vision for your movie. So I would suggest you really get used to this format, this way of writing. And again, if you use Celtics, the program is going to format it and put it in this form for you. Get used to this. I think one of the main reasons why I also like this format is if you ever get a chance to, if there's someone who wants to give you money and you don't have your movie in this format, they might think you're a complete amateur and not give you the money. I mean, there's a certain degree of professionalism to be had in filmmaking, even if you're fucked up in punk rock like me and all underground. And I think that's the key to success, and my success is I've been completely unprofessional in so many ways, intentionally unprofessional, and in other ways I've been completely professional. Like, all my screenplays are in standard Hollywood format. And why do I do that? Because I don't know who I'm going to be working with, and if someone is out there with $1 million, I want to hand my screenplay to them and say, give me your money, here's my screenplay, I'm legit, I know how to play the game, I'm not an amateur, give me the money now. It's really crucial. My first screenplay was not in standard format, and I had people like turning me down because they're like, this isn't standard format, get away from us, you're like stupid. So yeah, there is a game, and just like anything else, sometimes we have to follow the rules to get ahead. There's another Hollywood rule that says with your screenplay, you've got to have one page representing 1 minute of screen time. So let's say you're making a 90-minute movie, they're going to expect a 90-page screenplay. And I made a feature movie. It was a little bit over an hour, so let's say it was 61 minutes, 62 minutes. My screenplay was 8 pages. And I didn't follow the format, and I had so many problems, and I had so many people saying to me, like, you have 8 pages. We were doing the math, John. 8 pages will now translate into a feature movie. And I was like, yes, it will. There are punk rock people in the film scene who still follow this rule. So I want you to know what the rules are before you break them. And again, so if you get a call from a studio and they're like, hey, we want to see your screenplay for the feature movie, make sure you turn in 90 pages or you'll be laughed out the door. They won't even read it. I'm serious. I had a friend who had a screenplay. It was an indie production, like a $10,000 movie. And the people with the money, he turned in like a 20-page screenplay for a 90-minute movie. And they were like, hey, Chris, we need 90 pages from you because it's a 90-minute movie, play the game. So he went home and he reformatted the movie and stretched his 20 pages over 90 pages. And he turned it in the next day, and he made them laugh so hard they gave him the money. So that's the other thing I found in this business is if you can make people laugh, sometimes you succeed, even when you're breaking the rules. I've done that, it works. All right, so yeah, try to follow the format. Page 3 is a little more details. I'm not even going to go over this shit because you can like research this, use Caltex, you can learn it on your own. Just realize there is a standard way of presenting things to people. It would be like if you're designing a house or you're having your house redone and the architect builders had like their diagrams on cocktail napkins with like coffee stains and stuff. You would, as a homeowner, say, I'm not going to work with this person, right? Same way with movies. If your screenplay is not in legit format, a lot of people will not work with you. They'll just kick you out the door. All right. So as far as pre-production goes, there's something else that's really huge. It's called writing for film. And it's giant. Versus writing. All right, so when I'm creating my screenplay or coming up with my ideas or doing whatever I'm doing to get something started, I'm just doing writing. I'm not thinking about writing for film. My first draft of anything I write is just, there are no rules. I can do anything I want. So I might have millions of car crashes and car chases. I don't even think about budget. First draft of anything I write is, I can do anything I want. That's the rule. I can do outer space. I can do a period piece with 20 million extras in a scene. I have to have the world explode. You know, just anything you want. It's allowed. When you finish that, you hit the stage where you read it and you're like, wow, I've got $10 in my bank account. I'm not going to be able to pull this off. And a lot of filmmakers at this point, that's when they stop making their movie. They're like, I can't do this Earth exploding, and I have 3 Bentleys crashing, and you know, line of cars crashing, and I've got $10 in my bank account. I can't do this. Impossible movie. I want to do it. I have my vision. Not enough money. I'll stop making movies. Really common. That's the biggest mistake, and that's where this thing, writing for film, comes in. And what writing for film is, it's basically grabbing all your ideas and figuring out a smart way to execute this shit with your limitations. So for instance, I was teaching a class and one of the students wanted to make a movie for $100. He wanted to make a 10-minute spy movie where the last scene is the spy hops in a helicopter, starts flying away, and the helicopter explodes. And I encouraged him. I said, you're writing so you can do whatever the hell you want. It's all allowed. So he wrote his screenplay, had the format, with the grand helicopter explosion at the end. And then he looked at me and said, you know, I've got $100. What do I do? And I said, well, now it's writing for film. So the big problem was that helicopter explosion at the end. So I was like, come on, you're smart. How are you going to do this with $100? And so what he did is he got helicopter footage. His friend had a little RC, radio-controlled helicopter. He shot footage of this helicopter that looked really good. And then what he did for the explosion is he got a shot of the helicopter exiting the frame, and on the soundtrack, it's this deafening, huge explosion. And we get the idea, wow, that helicopter exploded. We didn't see it, we heard it, and I tell you, it was just as effective. I saw it, and I was like, man, whoa, the spy died, wow. And that was his example of writing for film. He didn't lose his idea, and he made his movie. And so that's what I'm saying. If you're smart and creative and open to ideas, you can execute your movie. It might not be exactly how you'd envisioned it. However, you can pull it off, and that's how you can do it on low budgets. Writing for film. So you write a screenplay, everything's allowed. Then you go in there and you see your problem areas, how little money you have or how little time you have, and you do this thing called writing for film. Really, really crucial. Any questions about any of this writing stuff? All right.
Do you ever not write? Have you ever just winged a movie?
Yeah, it's been terrible. My first 2 movies in college, I did that, and they sucked. I pretend they don't exist. Yeah, I mean, and some people can do this. I'm not one of them. So you've got to determine. I've seen people just grab a camera, see some people, start directing them, and they walk away with magic. I'm not like that. You've just got to know yourself. All right, any other questions? Okay. Here's another part of writing is the movie title. I'm a big fan of movie titles. It's, to me, a movie title is like a band name. I mean, band names are crucial. Movie titles are crucial. I think a movie title is 1/3 of the movie. I'm serious. Like my movie Modfuck Explosion. That's a cool title, and it has gotten a lot of people into the theater, buying the DVD, streaming it because of the title. And when I made that movie, all the producers wanted to get rid of the fuck. They were like, we have to do F star 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 or F, just like blot it out or get rid of it. And I insisted. I said, I'm gonna just walk off this movie. I won't finish it unless we do FUCK. And so they had to do it. And I just wanted to be inflammatory and just get people's attention. They were like, we won't be able to advertise. We can't play it in theaters. And that only happened to us once. It's my conviction that the title is so crucial. There's so many movies in the world. We see a poster, we hear a snippet of it on the radio or on TV or on the internet. We hear the title of the movie, and I make a lot of snap decisions about a movie based on the title, just like bands. Like, that's a terrible band name. That's a cool band name. And a lot of times it's true, like the cool band name, that's a cool band. So come up with a great title and keep it secret. Keep it under wraps so the movie's done up. I always have like a fake title for my movies that I tell the world, and then when the movie I start editing, I'll start using the real title. It's really easy to have people steal your title, especially if it's a good one. Here's the cool thing though, once you come up with your title, right? Your movie is 1/3 written. I'm serious. No, this is the shit you have to do to psych out this motherfucker called Crane. So I have a movie called Modfuck Explosion. I don't even know what's going to happen. I have a title though. My writing is 1/3 done. I'm done for the day. Going to go out and party, celebrate. I'm 1/3 done with my. I am serious. Try that. It's going to help you, inspire you. Come up with a good title, and you're like 1/3 of the way there with your movie. You can make complete crap. You have a good title, you're 1/3 of the way there. I'm really serious about that. All right. Now, when you're making your movie, you're in pre-production. I'm dividing this class into like a bunch of sections. Pre-production, which is everything you do before you make the movie. We have production, which is you're making the movie. You have post-production, everything is filmed, everything is shot, and now you're editing, putting in the sound, you're doing everything like in your laboratory after shooting it. And then we have distribution. So this class is 4 parts. Pre-production, production, post-production, distribution. So in pre-production, I like to try to figure out a vibe of the movie too. Just a feeling that the movie has. I made a movie called Scum Rock. Here it is. Pete's in it. And it's a rock and roll movie, and this is a funny movie because my movie before got a lot of attention, so I was like, I'm going to go out, I want to raise $1 million for this movie. I was working with a really hot shit producer, and we were both convinced we could do it. I was like, I want to shoot this movie on 35 millimeter, $1 million budget or more. And so we shopped it around. We had the screenplay written in the standard format. We had the right number of pages, like really playing the game. And we couldn't sell it. We worked really hard, and it was when Blair Witch came out, and all these independent production studios were like, oh, it's a rock and roll movie? Can you change it and make it about like some kids going out into the woods or something? I'm serious. I think it was like, one of these big production companies said, all right, so you have a rock and roll movie. we'll take a look at it. We might fund it if you change it from rock and roll to filmmakers and you delete all the characters and make it like the Blair Witch Project. That's what they said to me, and I was like, well, that's a different movie. They're like, yeah, we'll make that different movie, but not the one you wrote. So basically, we didn't raise, after 6 months or a year, we didn't raise $1 million. So we scaled it down and said, let's raise $50,000 and shoot it on 16 millimeter. And this was before digital was really big. It was like late 90s. So we're like 16 millimeter, 50 grand. We couldn't raise that either. So we finally ended up shooting the movie for $5,000 using handheld consumer, like camcorders, just like really crappy, straight off the shelf from Target type of crap. And so I've found in filmmaking that if you complain about your situation, it's bad. So at that point, making this movie for $5,000, I could have complained. I could have walked around saying, man, I didn't raise my $1 million, then I couldn't get 50 grand. So I'm making this movie and it's gonna suck because I could only get $5,000 and I'm not using the equipment I wanted. We're not shooting on film, it's on videotape. Man, this sucks. Honestly, that is not the sound of, that's not the sound of pre-success or success. I don't like complainers. I don't like people who focus on the negative. I don't want to work with people like that. And I've discovered that when I talk that way, I lose people and I don't have opportunities. So I was like, well, what's the vibe of this movie? And I was like, the vibe of this movie is I wanted to shoot a higher end movie and I couldn't afford it. So I'm shooting a fucking scuzzy low end movie. And then that's when it hit me. Wow, that's sort of cool, right? That's punk rock. It's like punk rock where it's like, we're going to record this in a studio. We're going to record our album in 2 hours live with no overdubs, with only 2 takes of everything. Let's go. So that's what I equated Scum Rock to. So I came up with a manifesto. And here's another key to making a good movie, I feel, is you need a manifesto. And it's, what is a manifesto? It's like your statement of purpose. It's what your movie's about. It's what we believe in, the essence of this movie. So I was like, it's a punk rock movie. It's really scuzzy and lo-fi. It's going to look gritty and grainy. It's the opposite of high end. So I was like, I'm going to make this my manifesto. I'm going to make this my cause. And so I was living in San Francisco at the time, late 90s, and there was like a dot-com explosion. So there were all these computer companies busting out. Everyone was getting into high tech. Every filmmaker I knew was trying to switch to DV and make the jump to DV. DV camcorders still cost $10,000 each. It was sick. It was expensive. A digital editing system, the cheapest was 90 grand. You had to edit on like Avids and crap like that in those days. There wasn't desktop crap to use. So I said, I'm in this tech city where everyone is going so high-end overboard. I'm going to be the opposite. So I did a manifesto where I just said, fuck technology. We're dragging video into the gutter. We're going to smear it around and make it look crummy. And I said, this is not leading edge technology. This is trailing edge technology. And that's where I came up with the idea. I was like, I'm going to shoot this movie on equipment that nobody wants. So I got donations from San Francisco, like production houses, where they're like, we have tape decks and cameras we don't need because they're so crummy. I was like, give them to me. And so this is what I used to make this movie. I mean, I used some like security cameras and stuff like that to film some scenes. And basically I just said, you know, screw technology. This is primitive filmmaking, and fuck DV filmmaking. This is video, and we just are smearing this shit and corrupting it, and this is punk rock. That was a manifesto. It got lots of attention, and it was perfect for the project because it was like the framework. It was like our statement of purpose. It was the theme of the movie, and it gave us power because we weren't complaining. We were embracing it, saying, just like the punk movement, like we're small bands, we don't have money, we have to be immediate and quick. Fuck yeah, that's our power. And so that's what I was saying. So if you can turn your weaknesses into a power and embrace it, you're going to succeed. If you take your weaknesses and tell the world, wow, this is a weakness, you won't succeed. If I had said, wow, I'm making a $5,000 movie because I'm a loser because I couldn't raise $1 million and I can't even afford DV cameras, and wow, look at my movie, do you want to see it? I wouldn't want to watch that movie. Whereas if I said, this is the punk rock movie, fuck technology, fuck San Francisco, there's all this weird crummy equipment and you can still make movies from it, fuck yeah, let's do it. I want to see that movie. So, I mean, a lot of movie making is attitude. And the brain is going to keep you from having the attitude. The brain is the thing telling me I'm a loser because I couldn't raise $1 million. I'm a loser because I have to shoot on a Target camcorder or Walmart camcorder. I'm a loser. The moment I start saying I'm shooting or using this $100 camcorder because it's my revolution, it's my fucking purpose. I'm a winner and I got my power back. So, you know, consider that. Manifestos are huge, huge, huge. And these Scandinavian filmmakers came up with the type of filmmaking called Dogma 95. I'm not even going to get into it. This is like extra credit. During your break, as you look up Dogma 95, they came up with a kick-ass manifesto, and it was in 1995. Danish filmmakers, Lars von Trier and Vinterberg, they did a bunch of really cool movies, and their manifesto was nuts. Apparently, they got drunk one night, and they were, you know, European filmmakers bad-mouthing Hollywood, like, we live in Europe, and all we get to see is Hollywood movies in Europe. Where's our European movies? Hollywood is steamrolled or shit. So they both said, how do we want to make movies? What should filmmaking look like? And so they were drunk off their asses, and they just came up with a list of how they felt movies should be made, and it's totally immediate, totally punk rock. They said stuff like, you can't use any visual effects whatsoever in your movie. You can't color grade it, you can't put in special effects, you can't animate it, you have to shoot your footage, and that's it. That was one of the rules. Another rule they had is you can't post-dub music in your movie. It's raw, it's humans, it's dialogue, it's the sounds of the world, that's it. And how they got around that rule, when they were making their movies, they were like, wow, we have a dramatic scene, we really need music in it. It's nuts. They hired an orchestra to play the music off screen, so they're filming like a dramatic scene with actors talking, and the orchestra is playing the background music off screen, and that way they could film it with the live music, and they didn't break their dogma rule. They had the nuttiest rules, and then they ended it with one rule saying, oh, and by the way, and it's a really punk rock manifesto. Their last rule, or like towards the end, they say you have to shoot it on 35 millimeter film, which is the least punk rock thing. And that's where you say, these guys are just fucking around and having fun. I mean, to say, yeah, let's make a punk rock manifesto and you have to shoot on 35 millimeter. And that's part of the beauty of this manifesto. It's fun, it's a joke. And they made a couple movies this way, and then other filmmakers started, it caught on, and other filmmakers started making movies following the Dogma Manifesto. And they actually have a website where you used to be able to submit your movie to them, and if they approved it, you would be on their website, and they'd send you a certificate saying that you're officially a Dogma filmmaker, and they numbered them like, you are officially Dogma 95 film number 37. They made filmmaking really fun again. And so your manifesto can be something like, we're only going to film scenes after midnight and we have to wrap it by 3 a.m. or something. I mean, it can be really fun. You can just say, we're only going to eat vegetarian food on this movie. Yeah, that's my I'm serious. Keep it fun, and the manifesto is going to keep you going. It's going to give you a really, really large, cool framework for your whole movie. So yeah, look up Dogma 95. It's one of the extra credit projects during your break. All right, so we're talking about all this writing, all this stuff. One thing I think that's so huge in filmmaking, and especially these days, because we have, these things, and people don't talk as much. Be prepared to talk about your movie. I think the strongest tool you have as a filmmaker is not even your movie or your finished work. It's you and your voice, your being. It's not how you text people. It's not how you email them or send them a message. It's how you one-on-one present to people face-to-face. You have to learn how to pitch, which is present yourself and get what you want. And you have to learn how to represent your movie. I tell every filmmaker, especially when they're pre-production, you have to be able to talk about your movie. Movies require lots of outside help from people. So what you've got to do is present your movie and get them to help you. You've got to pitch it. So I practice my pitches presenting my movie in like one sentence. Like, let's say I bump into someone with money. I have one sentence to sell them on my movie. That's what I try to do. And for this movie, Numbskull Revolution, I mean, my pitch is like, hey, I'm making a movie. It's a punk rock Blade Runner for artists. That's hot shit. Everyone loves Blade Runner. Some people like punk, and some people like artists. I've used this pitch, and literally everyone who hears it is like, oh my God, what's this movie? How can I help out? So really come up with the stuff. Be prepared to talk about your movie for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Figure out why people would want to help you. And as an example, I had a student, and I had been talking about representing your movie, talking, blah, blah, blah. And this one kid sat in the back row, and he just was scoffing. He's like, I don't have to learn this shit, whatever. And so he came into class one day, and he just looked at me. He said, hey, can we begin the class with me just talking for 2 minutes? I was like, Sean, this is sort of weird. Okay. So this kid gets up at the beginning of class, and he starts screaming. He says, John is right. The teacher's right. The teacher's right. We do have to learn how to pitch. And this was a kid who never wanted to pitch anything. He refused to talk about his movie. And so long story short, he was in college, like a senior. He went to like a film event at his film school, and they had all these illustrious alumni coming back. It was a meet and greet. They have booze. And so he got drunk. He was waiting in line to get more beer, and he bumps into this older dude, and this older dude is like, hey, I graduated from this department 30 years ago. I made all my money on the internet. I'm a bazillionaire. I just came back because I have extra money. I want to give some money away to the deserving students here. I was wondering, and the guy was like, some tech like billionaire was like, I studied here and I wanted to just come here and see if I could find one filmmaker who would take my money, someone doing something good. So the kid, my student, who was drunk off his ass, was like, I'm a senior, I'm working on a movie, and the billionaire said, well, tell me about it, give me a pitch. I'm giving you 1 minute, pitch it, and if I like it, I'll give you money. And he couldn't produce because he had never practiced. He fucked it up, he didn't get the money, and so the next day in class, he was like, it's true, you don't know who you're gonna bump into, when you're gonna bump into them. You bump into someone in an elevator and you don't say, hey, I'll email you my pitch tomorrow. You gotta do it on the spot. So really, pitch is so important. Every step of filmmaking is presenting the movie, and I swear to you, it is direct people talking that make shit happen. Way more than this crap. Like, face-to-face talk for 5 minutes can represent 1 year of this crap. I'm serious. All right, pitching is so, so important. All right, so we're gonna run through pre-production now because there's a lot of stuff you have to take care of. You're working on your screenplay. At a certain point, you get your writing done. You're doing your writing for film, and you're like, all right, now we've got to face, how do I make this movie? Equipment. I mean, everyone has one of these, so let's face it, everyone does have a movie camera. These are great. I found that the problem with them is the sound is crappy, so you've got to figure out a way to get good sound. You do need a microphone. The built-in mics totally suck, and especially if you have dialogue in your movie, got to get good dialogue recording. So if you use one of these, you got to figure out a way to get a little microphone attached so you get good sound. I don't own much equipment at all. I had some stuff, I got rid of it. A lot of filmmakers obsess with equipment, cameras they have to buy, new iPhone they have to get, because, dude, that was a cinematic moment. I'm writing that down as one of my, you saw it, right?
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah, I know, this is like my stock picks. No. All right, I don't own any equipment at all. I found that when I make a movie, I shoot for 3 weeks, and I'll figure out a way to either rent shit or borrow shit, and when the movie's wrapped, I'm not stuck with equipment. Anytime I try to amass equipment, after a year or two, it's out of date and it falls apart. I live in Hawaii, so it's really humid. It's hard to keep stuff good. Just don't get obsessed with equipment. Sound is really important. Some ideas: enroll in a community college, enroll in a school that's cheap with the film department, take an intro film class and get access to the gear. In Santa Fe, I taught at Santa Fe Community College, the best fucking film school on the planet. I love that school. You could take my intro film class. It was this class over 15 weeks. It was $100. If you're a veteran, if you were a high school kid, if you were Native American and a senior citizen, free class. It's Santa Fe Rocks. People would take this class for $100, and with that $100, you get the class, you get access to all the equipment in the department. So people, I mean, theoretically, you could take the class and make a feature movie over that semester, and your cost would be $100 fucking dollars. You're not buying any crap. So look for these community colleges and places that have gear that you can access. If you have friends in college, see if they can borrow shit from their department for you to use for your weekends. You don't have to own stuff. I've also heard stories about filmmakers that buying equipment and returning it after they wrap the movie. I had a friend, she needed a really high-end keyboard to do synthesizer shit for her soundtrack. She went to Guitar Center. They have 30-day return policy. She composed music for 29 days and returned it. I'm not endorsing this behavior. I'm saying, though, it is done a lot. So there you go. I don't know what the return policy is for cameras. I think they're more savvy to this shit. However, try not to spend too much money on gear. It breaks down, and if you think about like owning a camera, you're gonna film a feature for 3 weeks maybe, and then you're in post-production for like months. You're not using the camera, it's wasted. Try to rent gear, try not to spend too much money on this shit. Food, start thinking ahead of a movie, how do you feed people? This was my biggest stress, and it's crucial. If you don't feed people well, first of all, you're gonna have low energy, bad energy on the set. Second day, they won't return if you're feeding them breadcrumbs. There's certain things I do. I talk to everyone involved in the movie and see if there are dietary requirements, like vegetarians or this or that. One movie, Scum Rock, 2/3 of the people were vegetarian, and so we decided to go all veg for the movie, and it was really fun. It was a movie theme, vegetarian movie. As far as meals go, though, you serve the meals, and you have something called craft services, which is just a table full of snacks and water and shit. Just like back there, that's our craft services table. You always have that available so crew members can take a break. They always can get water, get their shit, whatever. I try to watch too much sugar. I found if with sugar, people eat sugar, they crash afterwards. And as far as feeding people, it gets really expensive. It can be really expensive. So on Numbskull Revolution, my last movie, I would start the days, 9 o'clock, 9 a.m., you show up at the movie set, and I would tell everyone, we're going to have some basic stuff like bagels, coffee. It's not a real breakfast, so try to eat before you get here. It was enough food. It wasn't a big meal, however. We would have a big lunch, and then I didn't want to feed people dinner, and it was too expensive, so it was, let's wrap the movie by 5 p.m., so you say goodbye, and get rid of everyone, and they have to find their own dinners. That's how we did it. We got deals with restaurants. That's where you have to pitch. You have to tell them why your movie is great. If it's a cause, like you're making a movie, a documentary, and you have a cause, a reason, you're saving the earth, pitch this. People might give you free food. And promise everyone a thank you in the credits. Movies thank restaurants in the credits, and restaurants love it. So that's something to consider. Also, what I like to tell the people who help me is, I'll make sure you get a copy of the movie somehow, somewhere when it's done, so you can see what you helped to make. So food, really crucial, and you really can't cut too many corners. And again, if you have skilled people in your life, people cook. Have someone make a big meal for the production. You can have different people helping, aunts, uncles, family members. It really works, and people appreciate good home cooking too. You got to rehearse people, rehearse the hell out of people. When I started making movies, from the start, actually not from the start, maybe from my second movie, I started rehearsing people, and a lot of people were sort of like, you're a punk rock filmmaker, so you must just get everyone drunk and wasted, turn on a camera, and free for all, and you walk away with scenes in a movie, and that's not true. I rehearse people, and it's especially the actors, and that's what you're doing in pre-production. You're getting your people, you're casting your people, and you're rehearsing them. And you're also rehearsing crew members closer to the shoot. So if you have like a camera person and you have camera moves and intricate stuff going on, I would suggest you rehearse crew members too, especially the camera person, director of photography. It's sort of crucial. I love working with actors, and what I found with actors, I was really intimidated when I first started working with actors. I'm like, this is like another species. What language do they speak? What the hell? And I found with actors and with me, direct and simple is the best. So I'll say to an actor, do that one more time, except sadder. Oh, that was sad enough, thank you. Now say it slower. It's really basic direction. Or you're not angry enough, get angrier. You're not sad enough, more tears. You know, stuff like that. Really basic direction. And one of the most important things about rehearsing actors is you have to be consistent. So I have a copy of my script, and whenever I give an actor direction, I write down what that direction is. I didn't do this, and I would mess this up, and then actors would call me on it saying, hey, you told me to be really sad this week. Last week you said just to be sort of sad. John, what the fuck is going on? And I realized I wasn't consistent, and I was fucking up the actors. So I write down specifically, and I stick to that, and we stick to that certain way of doing scenes and reading lines and dialogue and whatnot. Consistency is crucial. Yeah.
I have a question. At what point do you do that? Like those directions for the actors?
Like,
You were talking about like wanting to have that consistency
Oh,
and
yeah.
adding it to the script for actors.
I started from the very first rehearsal.
Okay.
I sort of know what I want I actually really know what I want the actors to do. It's not really, it's collaborative in that it's an actor, it's their voice, you're collaborating with another human. I'm really specific about the performances, and I stick to it throughout the whole rehearsal. And as you get closer to the shoot, you're going to find that the actors are more familiar with the dialogue, and then you have to work on stuff like, we're not going to sit around a table anymore, we're going to work on blocking. And blocking is the movements on the screen or on the stage or whatever. And that's what actors have to really rehearse, blocking. So if you have a scene with dialogue and the actors are walking down the street, I would say for this rehearsal, actors, stand up, we're going to walk around this room and rehearse it like we're really filming it. And if you have time, I've never had time to do this. I've always wanted to do this. Is like a couple days before actually shooting, you do a rehearsal with full blocking and the actors in their costumes and makeup. And even like the camera people, they're shooting tests. I mean, that would be the most rad rehearsal. I've never had the luxury of doing that because it's always rushed. But get used to the actors moving around, talking, all this stuff, and consistency. All right. Safety is crucial on movie sets. I get insurance for my movies, and insurance is expensive. For this movie, it cost us $2,000. It cost me $2,000 to insure it. Insurance policies only last for about a month, so you have to get your movie done in a month. And it's like $1.2 million covered. So if someone breaks a leg, it's covered. And I feel it's crucial. Like it wasn't a big movie. However, I had enough money and I wanted, I've got to do it. I would have a hard time shooting a movie without insurance. I would just be so nervous the entire time. If you can't afford insurance, you've just got to be extra safe. I think the two most dangerous things on movies, electricity and cars. Electricity can be really fucked up. I made a movie without insurance. We got lots of our lighting from thrift shops. We had practical lighting, which is lighting within the frame of the shot. So you have lights that the audience is seeing, and it's also lighting the scene, practical lighting. So we got all these cool lamps from thrift shops, and one of them ended up short-circuiting and exploding. It was a hanging lamp, and it was right over the actors' glass. It was a fucking mess, and that's when I was like, man, this is dangerous. Electricity is really dangerous. And cars, moving cars, if I didn't have insurance, I don't think I would ever film anything in a moving car. Cars are hard to film in. Cars are, to me, the hardest thing to film. If you're thinking of shooting your first movie, cars at night, don't do it. Nights are hard, cars are hard. Interiors of cars are really hard because you can't get a wide enough lens. It's hard to shoot in cars. And in Hollywood, when they shoot in cars, they have these cars that are broken up without doors, that are missing things so they can get these good shots. Cars are hard and they're dangerous. Don't do moving cars if you don't have insurance. Yeah.
Do you have recommendations for insurance companies?
It's all local. You've just got to call around. Just LA probably has a ton of them and lots of competition, which is good. Yeah.
Is there like a particular type? Is it just health insurance?
No, it's liability. So it's like if people get hurt on the movie set, you're covered. They, for bigger productions, they even like cover like your camera original. So if you like fuck up your tapes, they'll bounce in money to you. I couldn't afford that. It was just basically people being protected, and me being able to tell the cast and crew, like, hey, if anyone gets hurt, we do have insurance, so we're watching out, okay? Which leads me to, if you don't have insurance, watch out for electricity in cars. And I have an absolute zero tolerance policy for booze and drugs on the movie set. We make that announcement on the first, actually before we start shooting, we're like, we catch you with drugs here, you're fired. We catch you drinking during lunch hour or anything, you're fired. And one of the reasons is with insurance, they don't cover you if you're wasted. Like, you can't be wasted. They will drop the coverage. So that's a rule we make. I'm a stickler for this shit. And in the past, I've done some fucked up shit. Like, had drug dealers in the movie sets where I was first in line buying the drugs, like leading the crew. Like, really fucked up shit I've done. And I don't want to, I try not to do this stuff anymore. Insurance is important and safety is important. Another safety factor is, or another factor is just safety on the movie set. And I'm not talking about like physical safety, I'm like emotional safety. I like to create almost like this classroom, like we feel safe here, like sort of like we don't know each other, but we feel safe, right? We can talk, it's good. I want a movie set to feel like this too, where people almost like feel a family vibe and they want to come back, almost like I'm part of this collaborative project. I'm getting to know new people and I'm comfortable here. I really try to maintain it, and I found that one bad person can ruin an entire movie. So if there's a bad person, I sniff them out and I fire them immediately or talk to them and try to correct it. Really, really, really important. All right, let's get to budgets now. We've got page 4, sample budget. I like this. This is a nice budget. It's divided into pre-production, production, and post-production. And I'm not even going to go into this. Just look it over. Budgets are really crucial. Figure out how much money you have and come up with a budget. Figure out how to divide it up. And also what I do, it's nuts. With every movie, I have 3 budgets. That's crazy. Because I like to visualize and plan for good fortune. So my first budget is, how would I make this movie if I had unlimited finances? So that's my first movie, the first way I envision making the movie. Then I'll come up with, so there's like, so budgets, I have a extremely high-end budget I come up with. Because you never know. I mean, they say that you won't succeed unless you prepare for success. So I'm preparing for getting $80 million to make a movie. That's my first budget. I'm serious. Second is like the medium budget. So it's sort of like, well, not 80 million. I'm going to say this is going to be a $200,000 movie. That's my medium one. Another budget I come up with. And it doesn't have to be like you spend 3 weeks doing a budget and you do all this formatting and shit. You could literally sit down with a cup of coffee and figure out a budget, you know, your 3 budgets in a couple hours. Have 3 of them though. And then the final budget, this is like the hard one. It's the budget, I'm going to just call it, I know, what you got now. Yeah, this is the most important one. So this is the budget you come up with where you look at your bank account and you say, fuck, I've got to make this movie tomorrow. What are my resources today to put into tomorrow? So, I mean, that might be like, wow, my budget is $100. Now, that's fine. And I think a lot of times we do end up going to what you got now. That was Scumrock. I had my high-end budget, 35 millimeter. I had my medium budget, and we ended up what you got now budget. I had $5,000 in the bank, so I made it that way. And I think a lot of times, if you're having too many problems with this, and it's really hard, you have to lock into this and just say, fuck it, I've got to make my movie. What do I have now? Yeah.
Does 3 budgets mean 3 screenplays?
No, 1 screenplay, 3 budgets. And with the big high-end budget, you might actually be able to film that helicopter exploding in the middle of the screen. With the low-end budget, we've got to do the toy helicopter going off screen. However, we still have the same event at the end of the movie, right? So we haven't lost it, which is cool. Yeah.
So this budget, this example budget,
Yeah.
is assuming that crew and cast are volunteer. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's about pitching.
Yeah, pitching, and you have to give people a reason why they want to make your movie. And if you have a manifesto like, yeah, we're making a movie, and we're saying, yeah, down to the tech people, and yeah, to the punk rock people, we're making our movie using the junkyard. people might say, fuck yeah, I want to be part of that movie. If you have some good food there, it's great. If you have a good family, safe vibe for people, yeah, people will come back. I've had people saying, this is so much better than me sitting at home just pretending to make a movie. I'm meeting other filmmakers and people. I'm part of a family. This is valid. This is cool. Really, really, really crucial. Yeah, you try to get people involved, and it isn't necessarily money. I've had people, on this movie, it was really cool. A couple of our crew members were working on a Coen Brothers movie shooting in town, and they quit the Coen Brothers movie to work on this movie because they were just like, this is going to be a rad experience. And they were like, yeah, it was. And I was so honored. I was like, you left Coen Brothers to come here? Fuck yeah. Really rad. All right, so yeah, we got your 3 budgets. Let's see what else we need to talk about. Pre-production. All right, raising money. You can raise money for movies. There are grants out there. I've stopped going for grants. I've gotten some big-ass grants. I got a ITVS grant, sort of PBS. I got $360,000 to make Terminal USA. And for this one, for the grant, I treated the grant application like a joke. So I sent in a joke, and I got the money. I gave them one-word answers where they were expecting like essays. They had a question where they said, give us a list of the movies, of your movies and where they've played and the festivals and the awards they've won. And that's like the one page where all the filmmakers put their resume on, their screenings. I got a Sharpie, I just said worldwide. I did, I swear. And then I stepped on it, so there were like footprints on it. They had another question which said, what problems do you foresee your movie having? And it had a page to talk about, what problem. I said, nothing, it's going to be perfect. And with the Sharpie, so I sent this in and I got $360,000. And there were like over 1,000 people trying to get this grant. They chose 7. And so I ended up meeting the people in the committee a few years later. I was like, and my screenplay was a wreck. I basically wrote it 50 hours nonstop and submitted that. There's no beginning, no middle, no ending. Characters disappeared. It was a mess. And I said, why'd you give me the money? Everything was a mess. You saw my application. You saw my writing. It was a shambles. And the 3 committee members said, out of the 1,000 people, yours was the only one that made us laugh out loud. That's why I got the money. And they said, we wanted to give you the money. We wanted to meet you. You made us fucking laugh. And they were like, it's grueling. We went through 1,000 applications over 2 weeks. We were so tired reading the same old boring shit from the same people, and yours stood out because we laughed. You made our week fun. So there it is. You have fun, you succeed. Yeah.
Is there a particular place you go to find grants?
Just Google it online. That's what Google's for. There used to be like, before the internet got big, there used to be like grant resources and books they put out. Just Google it. And for grants, there's some really specific ones to really search around. I don't know if it's around. A while ago, there was something called the Mortuary Science Grant. It was for funeral parlors and like the whole death industry. And they were like, we have a bad name, so we have a $3,000 grant for anyone who's making a movie dealing with this shit, who's going to dispel the bad connotations of people dying in funerals. And from what I heard, 2 people applied to this grant, and 1 person walked away with the $3,000. So look for these grants. Also, a lot of cities have film rebates where you film a movie in a city, you pay for local shit, and if you use like local restaurants and spend your money locally with local businesses, they kick you back a refund. And so that's what happened with Numbskull Revolution. We shot the whole movie for about $25,000. I did crowdfunding and raised $7,000 or $8,000. Yeah, I'm gonna write this shit down. So the Numbskull Revolution budget was $25,000 to shoot the entire movie. We shot for maybe 3 weeks, a 16-day shoot. $25K was the budget. I did crowdfunding, so we raised, let's say $8K. We filmed in New Mexico, and I tried to spend the money locally, so it's sort of, and they don't reimburse you for like computer equipment or camera gear. It's stuff like if you buy a meal at a local restaurant, the government gives you 25% back. So somehow we got 7,000 back, maybe 6,000 back. So already you do the math, and that's, instead of a $25,000 movie, it's an $11,000 movie. So that's how much money I put in, because crowdfunding and the money back from the rebate. So, you know, that's pretty cool. I came up with 14 grand and put in 11 grand. And you can do this on a smaller scale. Like I had some friends and family donate $100 and I'm putting $80 of my money in, $180. Yeah, make my movie.
I kind of spaced out. What's the restaurant thing?
Oh,
The-
it's just, in certain states, if you spend your money on local businesses in your state,
Yeah.
like let's say you buy everyone meals and you spend $100,
Yeah.
you do the paperwork and then they give you a check for $25 back.
Whoa.
Yeah, and so like for airline tickets, I went through a local travel agent in Santa Fe, so we spent a couple $1,000s flying in people and maybe $4,000. I got $1,000 back by dealing with a local travel agent. Cool, right? Yeah, so and it's good because you keep it local, and different states have different rules. You've got to research it. I don't know what it is in California. Yeah.
Going back to what you said about the grants, you said you don't apply to them anymore?
Nah.
Why?
Just because I'll tell you why, because I stopped getting them. I think I'm at the stage in my career where they don't want to give me money. They're like, you've made it, you're rich, we don't want to give you money. And so I spent like 5 years, I applied for so many grants, I got 0. So I've just realized that for me right now, it's something, putting a lot of energy in, no payoff. All right. Money important. Manifesto, movie title, pitching, fool your brain, have fun, grants, writing, spend 0 money. Okay. Here's a weird thing. It's sort of random. It's huge though. It's really easy to label yourself and box yourself in. Like, I'm making scum rock. Fuck technology. I'm punk rock. I'm low budget. I'm underground, and that's my whole definition of myself. I found whenever I'm doing this, it blocks off opportunities. So even though I'm underground, even though I'm punk, even though I'm DIY, even though I'm no budget, I'm all of this, right? I'm also a Grammy nominee. I'm also an Oscar contender, for real. Like, I've done this shit. So try not to pigeonhole yourself too much. Like, if you're like, I'm a lesbian filmmaker and that's my only identity, it's cool, you're gonna get support, it's awesome. However, I feel you've got to have more of an identity of, as a filmmaker, you know, I'm punk rock filmmaker, it's cool. My identity though is larger than that. And I feel like when you have a larger identity, you have more room for larger success. All right, yeah, try not to limit yourself. When you limit yourself, it's a real problem. And here's a final note on pre-production is, you know, I keep talking about what you got, the movie you're gonna make tomorrow. I'm gonna urge all of you, if you're filmmakers, to go home tonight and plan and try to figure out how to start your movie, because I swear to you, life is short and people die before making their movies. And, you know, I know a bunch of filmmakers who are not around anymore, and it's really sad. I got money from Levi Strauss to make a commercial for them, 45-second commercial. They gave me $3 grand. I didn't want to work with Levi Strauss. I like stewed on it for like a week, and I finally was like, I'm going to take a chance. I thought it would ruin my punk credibility doing something with Levi Strauss, right? I was like, it's a huge corporation. They're going to be terrible to work with. They're going to make all my actors wear Levi's jeans. You know, shit like that I was thinking of. I went for it, and it was the best project of my life. The Levi's people were so open-minded with creativity. I mean, they chose 3 filmmakers, and they said the first evening we're going to have a meeting in a really fancy restaurant, and we're just going to get to know each other because you all are artists, and we just want to relax and treat you to a fucking nice meal. That's what they said. And it was beautiful. They gave me the money, and they just said, have fun. I was like, do I have to send you a rough version of the movie? Do you have to see the screenplay? Do you want to know what I'm making? And they just said, no. The theme is independence in filmmaking. You know what it is. Here's your money. Here's your deadline in a month. Have fun. And they were so supportive. So again, you don't know, sometimes the people with the money are the coolest people. Levi's was so cool. Sad thing is, one of the other filmmakers was an animator. He made a really cool project, and right after the project wrapped, we had another big fancy dinner with everyone, you know, celebrating it. And he lived in Oakland, badass neighbor. He was walking home and he was killed. He was shot to death. Yeah, it's really fucking sad. I knew another guy in Eastern Europe. I met him in the film festival circuit. This was 90s, and this was the most hardcore punk filmmaker I ever met in my life. And it was this middle-aged, overweight guy who looked like someone's dad, okay? And his name was Jellyman. Jellyman. And he lived in some fucked up European country that probably doesn't exist now. And his country was rift with corruption. Like the police, they were the I mean, it's sort of like now. Police is the government, is the mafia, and they're brutalizing everyone. So he was a documentary filmmaker, and he said, I want to expose this shit and put an end to this and make my country better. So he was making these insane documentary movies, interviewing the police, the mafia, and releasing them. And the police were constantly raiding him. He had two video cameras, one with the real footage and one with innocent fake footage. And when the police raided him, he'd swap out, hide the camera with the real footage in a wall, hide it away, and bust out the fake camera. The police would check the tape and see nothing inflammatory on it and let him go. That's how he made his movies. And he literally would shoot his documentaries. He would stay up for 1 week, edit the whole fucking documentary feature in 1 week, print it to 35 millimeter film, then hop on trains and travel over Europe playing these movies to tell the rest of Europe how fucked up his country was and how they needed help. And he kept doing this. I sort of lost track with him. We talked for a while, and then I remember asking a friend, like, what's up with Jellyman? And they just were like, you didn't hear? One night, he was with his family, and his house just fucking exploded. He's gone. Yeah, so he's gone. I met another filmmaker, woman filmmaker, In K, wonderful woman. She's from Thailand. She made the very first independent feature movie made in Thailand. It was like in the 90s, shot on 16 millimeter. And the problem with her movie is she has one scene where they make a joke. They have like a dog sitting on a pillow, and they make a joke like the dog is the king. And in Thailand, you cannot say anything bad about the king. So the government found out about this, and she showed this movie all over America, film festival circuit, went back to Thailand, the government busted her, and they basically said, if you want to stay in Thailand with your family, you cannot make art anymore. If you want to make art, you get the hell out of here. And she was married, family, so she gave up art, and I have lost touch with her, and that's her life now. So I'm bringing up these stories because, like, I mean, we're creative. It's fun to do these projects. We have a huge pressing world out there that can, like, crush us in a second. And, you know, I don't want to be negative. What I'm saying is this is our inspiration to fucking go home tonight and drink that extra cup of coffee or drink that extra glass of wine and figure out, first of all, is this movie really my dream? Do I want to do it? Am I really going to sacrifice for it? And if I am, fuck, I might not be here tomorrow or in a week, so I better get started tonight. I'm serious about this shit. I mean, these are all people who I was like, these are going to be my friends for life, and they're not. 2 of them are gone, and the other one she's a ghost because she's dead, you know. So yeah, make those movies as quickly as you can. If there's something about an immediacy. You don't have enough money, you don't have the right people, you don't have the right equipment. The immediacy is way more important than having everything right. All right, so yeah, put your money on the screen. All right, it's break time. We're going to take an exactly 10-minute break, okay? And this is what I want all of you to do during this break. The extra credit is Dogma 95, but the real thing I want you to do is last page. Totally cool shit. The first one is a movie called Gun Crazy from 1950. Look it up. And there's like a couple minute sequence. It's Gun Crazy 1950. If you just Google it, heist sequence. It's a bank robbery. Look for it on YouTube. And it's a really, really cool example of the flow of filmmaking. So watch this. I'm turning the timer on. See you all in 10 minutes. All right.
We did one kind of
Yeah.
weird announcement real quick. We had a check-in list and it's disappeared. It's not super important, but we were just gonna email you guys the thing at the end and just kind of refresh.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay, yeah, keep your eyes
maybe if anyone
peeled.
like grabbed it with the pamphlet, just like double check. You might have, no, okay. Just let me know if you
Okay.
find it.
We'll
Thank
find
you.
it. Positive vibes. Woo.